a brave new day here on Splash Play where StreamYard wasn't allowing me to stream. I also had to clean up some flooding in the basement right before this. It's a great day here, but the good news is I'm already in a draft room. Stream draft actually, number 104 for me on the year. Today it's the Drafters Million. Of course, our friends at Drafters, one of the, I would say the softest tournament that might not be fair to some of these sharp drafters on there, but definitely structurally a good tournament. 17 weeks, no playoff pods. No pods at all because you're just competing for the regular season prize, the most points over the course of 17 weeks. So that's a Drafters difference along with full point PPR, which I always enjoy as a change of pace, whether it be on Drafters, whether it be on DraftKings. So we're playing on there today, picking the 10 hole, and I'm drinking a beer because this has already been a chaotic start to the morning. Happy Father's Day weekend to all the dads out there. But let's draft a great team, gentlemen. Your Rising stream is about to start. For the first time ever, I got this weird error on StreamYard saying traffic is at an unexpectedly high volume before. Wait 30 to 60 seconds for your stream to be able to start. And I was like, fuck, the drafters clock is ticking down. I'm like sweating a little bit because my wife, God bless the wives out there, especially on this Father's Day weekend, the gift that we have, they've given us, I'm sure, for being a dad. That said, she like somehow dislodged the hose that ejects water from our washing machine. So I had to wipe up all this water, like right before, like it flowed. And it, like, I guess our house like slopes just slightly enough. The water all starts coming from the laundry room, then into the boiler / a workroom next to my studio. And then next to it in my studio. So I'm like, fuck, I got to get this water so it doesn't go in there. So we're doing great. We're drinking a beer. We're having a drafters draft. What could be wrong? What would be wrong would be taking Garrett Wilson over AJ Brown. One of my least favorite takes in best ball that I've seen. I think actually Pete might have had that take. So shout out to Pete, our pal, but really don't think Garrett Wilson over AJ Brown is ever something I'm going to want to do. AJ Brown at pick 10 feels fine to me here. But GMs abound, was in the draft, didn't see you and bailed. FOMO level, Starkindler. But Starkindler won one of our tickets a couple weeks ago. So hopefully that came through for you, Starkindler. But we are giving away a ticket once again on Drafters this week. So stay tuned. How I'm going to give it away, I don't know. As you know, I'm a man of whims. I have fleeting whims that bring me joy briefly at time periods. So we'll see how we'll give it away. But we will give it away by the end of the stream. And if you missed last week, you gave one away as well at the end of the stream. And people didn't know, because I accidentally ejected from the stream, had to come back on. So rewarded some of the loyals here. I think it was Meatwad that won last week. So shout out to him. I did, and I drafted a beast. Thanks to you. There we go. So there you go. Starkindler making the free tickets on Drafters work for him. And again, Drafters, the cool part, $15 to first place. Last year's Splash Play, I myself finished top 110. A lot of the community finished top 100, including our guy Updog, who finished top 5, I believe. So a lot of people who are in this space who didn't even put in max entries. I put in 9 entries last year. We were able to have good finishes. That's the one thing I will say for Drafters. Really can change the game for you, can mean a lot for you in terms of your bankroll. Hashtag Thaddeus here trying to make hashtag get your guys a thing. I respect it. We'll get some of our guys. I don't know if we'll get all of our guys. We'll dabble. We'll dabble in guys. I'll tell you what. A Garrett Wilson, Drake London turn, one that I don't do very often. A Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley start, one that I don't do very often. Harrison, to me, most appealing. Adams would also be fine. You guys know my stances on Jahmyr Gibbs. Probably want to start taking him a little bit. I don't know that I want to be zeroed on Gibbs, but Montgomery to me takes away too much of that workload to make it matter. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison here. AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison start feels fun. Obviously, we're not trying to correlate for anything quite as much. Just trying to get the pure upside. And as I've said enough times on here, see Marvin Harrison Jr. stepping into the opportunity he has in Arizona, with Kyler Murray, another year in this offense, an offense that frankly looked pretty good last year, especially with Josh Dobbs at QB, but was perfectly good with Kyler as well in his return. I think the team to me for Arizona, I would say dark horse playoff team potentially. It's a tough division being in the NFC West. You're going to compete against the Niners a couple times. You're going to get the Rams a couple times. Even the Seahawks might be feistier with Mike McDonald, maybe making some improvement on defense, and that offense already purporting itself, as we thought it would, to be a downfield attacking offense with Ryan Grubb as the OC. So maybe it's just too tough for Arizona to make the playoffs in that kind of division. But if I had to guess, I think they're live to be the second best team. Maybe if the Niners somehow, all the stuff that they're doing with not paying Ayuk or holding Ayuk out, maybe that comes to rear its ugly head a little bit more. I don't know. There's a case to say for Arizona winning the West. It would have to be like the Niners falling off of a cliff due to injury or like one of those Simpsons softball episode kind of things. But I think for Arizona, making the playoffs, as a wild card, I don't think it's out of the range. Love building teams around the Rams and Arizona from the back of the draft. I mean, I would like to do it more in the front half of the draft. I've seen it a few times on stream where people have gotten the Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison start. I personally haven't gotten that yet. That's your biggest upside duo there if you are going to target that for Week 17. But as a Week 17 matchup, one that I think has a decent shot to have, at least, again, that wild card chances on the line for the Rams and Arizona in Week 17. That could be a really good matchup. 4 points, 2 offenses that could be pretty good, 2 defenses that probably won't be great. The Rams doing some interesting stuff with drafting the 2 FSU guys to try to replace Aaron Donald with the collective will of a really good front line that they had there at FSU last year. I think that's an interesting thing to do, but the Rams defense is going to be worse. Arizona's defense will probably be a little bit better, but I don't know how good it's going to be because it wasn't that good last year. And they didn't really add anybody meaningful there that you're like, oh, this is going to be a reshaped defense. So Arizona Rams, I think one of the more appealing Week 17 games for sure, no matter how you're going to attack it. Niners could also be trouble if CMC's legs fall off. If nothing else, they have the volume of guys there to try to make it up, and guys with different skill sets. Like you have your burner. If you want to give Guerrero some reps, you feel like he's not totally dead in terms of what they've said so far, where they feel like he perhaps not ready to pick up the playbook, not good enough to get to where he needs to be mentally, I suppose. But I think Guerrero still is a straight line runner. They can find ways to use him, much like Miami did Achane. I think there's outs, even if they got, McCaffrey hurt, but obviously, decreases their ceiling a little bit. Maybe less than, Ayuk being gone or something, or Debo being hurt. I think that probably cuts their ceiling more than, losing McCaffrey would. Healthy urination room. Yeah, lots of 0 RB starts. So I think we did the right thing. Excuse me, trying to stay ahead of the curve. I think we should continue to try to stay ahead of the curve here. I imagine this guy, seeing how he's drafting, is probably going to take Kyren. If I could push Kyren back, I would be happy to take him, I think. But with how this receiver room is going, I'm going to get receiver. This is too many teams starting 3 receivers here. And possibly one more here at the turn. We'll see. If you keep it scored home, by the way, not of my drafts, but of my beer selections, Delirium Tremens, one of my favorite beers in the world, has been for a long time now. It's light enough to be like a Coors kind of beer, but with a little more of a pointy flavor, a little more of a Hefeweizen adjacent flavor. Here's me previewing my new beer review channel, which honestly, hey, worse ideas. But it gets you fucked up too. It's at 9.5% ABV, I think. Maybe higher. Let me see where it is. 8.5%. Sorry, I rounded up a little bit. So not quite as high of an ABV as my other favorite, Golden Monkey, which is much more like a Hefeweizen with the banana and clove stuff. But I do love Delirium Tremens. It's the first beer that really made me fall in love with very high ABV beers. Sneaky solid, yeah. And their Christmas one's pretty good, the Noel. Love them. International Brewing, guys. And a cool bottle, too. Ceramic. Love that. All right, Mike Lowry really thinking about Kyren. He's really thinking, should I go 3 running backs and 1 tight end? And he's crazy enough to do it, this Mike Lowry character. He goes Christian Kirk. All right, at this point, we got a Philadelphia bet. We got an Arizona bet. We got a Houston bet. Would it be fun to take Terry McLaurin? Yeah. At pick 39, does it feel better to take Kyren Williams? It does. Unfortunately, it fucking does. Oh, I hate myself. Who have I become? Who have I become? But our team so far, Kyren Williams, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Tank Dell is the squad. I like the team. I like getting Kyren at pick 39 as a guy who, according to the data version of my Spags rankings, had the best usage and the best efficiency of everybody in football last year. And that includes McCaffrey. I know it's going to be a hot take, but it really did work out that way for my numbers at the very least, by a little bit. Kyren was ahead of McCaffrey. I'm happy to take Kyren here. Even if he's going to lose 20% of the workload to Blake Corum, fine. If he loses 50%, it's not a good pick. But if he loses 20%, I think we're good. So to me, I'm happy to take Kyren at the spot. McLaurin would have been fun, though. McLaurin would have been fun. How do I think the scoring will go in Houston for the wide receivers? I think it is going to be very close with Diggs and Nico to be number 1. I think Tank is going to be efficient and have some good big plays, but I think the overall target volume is going to go down. I think he's still going to be a guy that Stroud looks for, but if I had to guess, we're looking at 8 to 10 a game for Diggs, 7-ish for Nico. I think he gets less than Diggs, maybe 7 to 9, we'll say, for Nico. And I think we're looking at 6 to 8 for Tank. And then, you got Schultz in there probably getting 5 high value targets. I think some touchdown equity for Schultz is going to be there. But if I had to guess, the scoring to me would be Nico number one. I mean, it should be Diggs number one, Nico number two. So I'm not stuck in the ground on that one. I think that's one where you could talk me on either side of that. But I would say Diggs number one, Nico number two, Tank number three, Schultz number four. But all of them, I think, having usable years at ADP would be my, like, at least in terms of the spike weeks, if not, maybe the floor weeks for Tank, or I guess if you want to make the case against Diggs, you can. You guys know I'm more in the bag for Diggs. Elite talent at receiver like that just doesn't come into your team. An explosive offense with a great QB that often. So there we go. Who's a better pick than Achane? Kyren? I mean, look, I think Achane, I'm happy to take too, as I've talked about. My two favorite, analytic RBs from last year were Kyren and Achane. No hot take on that one. But really, that's like, that's how I feel about these guys. Happy to get them. I think they're fun starts. My three favorite picks in the top top three rounds are Kyren, Achane, relative to ADP, and Bijan. Like, I like all those guys a lot. I take CMC at the 101. That's mostly out of just like, I don't want to fade him. I think he's worth the 8%. And if I get a little bit more than that, I'll live with it. But to me, like those three of Bijan, Achane, and Kyren, relative to where they are, I think they have the best upside. Bijan to be the overall RB1, Kyren to be in that hunt and probably have some big spike weeks. Achane, we know his spike week ability. Rest of the guys, I think, probably don't kill you, but I don't know they're going to help you quite as much. I agree that people are penciling in for too big of a role, but I don't think it's going to be something you end up like feeling disappointed about. All right, so we have a Rams, Philadelphia, Arizona, Houston team. Obviously, the Week 17 correlation doesn't matter, but as a boost for the finish line, that's fine as well. Ridley here, Mixon. We can increase our bet on Houston. Would still like to get to 5. We still could get to 5 receivers and 7. I'm going to take Mixon here. Maybe a bit of a surprise, but I like AR. If he comes back, we'll reevaluate a little bit more. Think we probably need a receiver. Wait, Deontay Johnson is up to 63 on drafters? How did that happen? Where's the Deontay Johnson steam coming from? That's crazy. I don't hate the price point. I think you make the case for him to go ahead of Keon and Odunze and Watson, I suppose. But that's crazy. Did not know that ADP for him. AR goes, so no jersey today. This fine Saturday here. Could see Achane being a low advance rate guy wins people a lot of money in the playoffs. I don't think he'll be a low advance rate guy. I don't know. That's going where he's going, 2-3 turn. I think he's perfectly fine for a guy that's going to give you probably 10 points a game when it's not good, and then upwards of 40 when it is running good. I think you can take those weeks. It's obviously, if you're building around him, maybe a hero RB build or like one where you're going a little bit leaner and he's like the biggest part of a shorter RB room. Maybe then that's where you run into issues. But if you're drafting 6 RBs, I think Achane's not going to be a thing that hurts you. But perhaps, again, if you're building with less volume and then you let's say you take 2 RBs in the first 3 rounds and then one of them gets hurt, like Achane might give you some issues there. But Mostert could also just get fucking hurt and that could be the end of it. We have Worthy, Deontay here at his elevated ADP. Neither guy the most exciting. I honestly think Cook is the most fun pick here, and I'm going to do that. I don't agree with Deontay being at 62.9, or at least maybe not don't agree. I don't want it for myself, is how I feel about Kyren at pick 62.9. So that's how we're going to play that. You got 3 RBs and 3 wide receivers through 6 rounds. So have to make it up a little bit at receiver, but I'm happy with my top 3. Feel like Brown, Harrison, floor and ceiling combos. Tank Dell certainly should have the ceiling at the very least, but I do think he'll have an okay floor. So I can live with this. Stroud would be in the Allen range if he would unlock the run ability. I don't think Stroud has run ability. Like, his running ability at best is Joe Burrow, which is fine. That's all you need. But he's not, like, he shouldn't be Josh Allen. He's not a big enough guy for that. He's also, like, he's such a pocket passer that you don't want to risk him hurting himself, making himself less good at this one thing that he might be, one of the greatest talents ever at potentially. I don't know. Like, I think for me with Stroud, he can run, but you better like keep yourself clean. Like, that's priority number 1. Keep yourself upright, keep yourself clean. That's what I would hope for him. A little bit of a different start here than usual on drafters with a 3 RB, 3 wide receiver build. Part of that to me is building up more of a floor for the entire season for these guys. And I do like Williams, do like Mixon, do like Cook. To me, a Cook bet is one where you just say Ray Davis is not going to get a workload or as big of a workload as people expect. Cook did have some problems with drops in minicamp. And this is the time period, too, where minicamp is over. We're on a break until actual training camp in about a month. So we're not going to have any more news items. So you can pour over whatever we get. I'm sure there'll be some beat writer stuff coming up these next few weeks about how the depth charts look and things like that. But ultimately, this is a period where like ADPs really shouldn't shift too much. Unless it's like market people catching up on things like so-and-so having a good camp, so-and-so having a certain role in camp, those kind of things. Stroud's a good runner that doesn't run a lot. He's usually pretty good running in the game against. He's really good. Oh, not usually pretty good against UGA, but in that one game, again, he'll take what's there, but he's not the kind of guy where like I would be designing runs for him personally. But he's a smart enough QB. Smart QBs to me. Let's flash back to me playing flag football back in the day. Smart QBs know just take chunk runs when you can get them. And I think Stroud is a smart QB. So that's really the main thing for him is like, I think that he'll take what's there when it's there, but he's like more of a, Mahomes Burrow type where, and if he got hurt at some point, God forbid, knock on whatever wood, I don't know what wood here, knock on wood. He's the kind of guy too, where I could see the running just never happening if he ever like did get hurt, but let's not put that in the universe, I suppose. The one guy I really don't want to get hurt this year is CJ Stroud. That would be one of the biggest bummers, I think. Not even portfolio wise, it's like Jaden Daniels, it's Marshawn Lloyd, it's Terry McLaurin. But in terms of like what I want to see in the NFL, the games I'm going to want to watch the most, Stroud to me being healthy might be the most important thing for me to see. What I'm hoping is going to be a fun NFL year. But I think this is the year where Stroud gets the AFC title game and maybe loses to Mahomes there. That'd be my guess. Potential MVP. I wouldn't say it was a CJ Stroud. I feel like my game was more. I didn't take enough deep shots. I was a little which is funny, but I did not throw the ball downfield enough. Let's make a pick and then we can wax poetic about my days of flag football. All right, this is bad. This is a lot of running backs here. We're starting to see a little bit of a discount, I suppose, coming up, but really nothing that bad. Could take Kittle and keep deviating, but I think we're going to get ahead or with this avalanche. Take Courtland Sutton. Obviously, you guys know I like Courtland Sutton as a bet on Denver. Prefer the other Denver receivers more. But we're live for a Denver stack, and that's always fun to have to me. So we got our fourth receiver. We'll see what we get on the way back. But yes, I would say if I'm going to compare myself, because I think, again, lack of deep downfield throws, decent running, and pretty accurate in the mid-range. Pretty accurate, up to the sticks, a little bit past the sticks. Who would I be? It's really threw me for a loop. I did not have this one. I guess Lamar doesn't take a lot of deep shots. Honestly, really, it's probably like Taylor Heineke would be the comp for how I played in flag football. For being fair, it's like at best Taylor Heineke, but obviously not at the level of Taylor Heineke. But this is the game style would be, feed your top target guys, maybe an occasional deep shot, but really work the short range, be willing to run if there's 4 yards there. So that's what we compare me to. Would love to be a CJ Stroud. I would love Luka to grow up and be a CJ Stroud. That's the dream. All right, so we got Sutton. Got some values creeping up a little bit, but not enough, I think, for us to fully continue to steer against the Avalanche. Going to take Curtis Samuel here. Some fun stats about he had 1 year with Ron Rivera not as coach, and it was Samuel's best numerical year in a bunch of different categories. That's interesting. The Buffalo Bills talking about Samuel like he's the wide receiver one. Also kind of interesting. I think having a bet on Buffalo here, we don't have Josh Allen. An interesting concept too. The downside here is we got scooped on Kyler by I didn't tell us about this when it happened because I wasn't paying attention. So we got scooped on Kyler by the guy who has Josh Allen and also took 2 elite tight ends in the top 5 rounds. So not an ideal way to get scooped on Kyler, which is, I think that's why the board threw me, because I was like, there should be something here that I kind of need to take. But instead, we took Courtland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, and we got a correlated bet on Buffalo. We've got 5 receivers through 8 rounds. We're doing okay, but definitely an abstract route to get there. Gonna have to work that mid-range of tight end, which, by the way, the tight end conversation on Twitter, kind of funny as a bit, but also this is why, guys, this is why I leave everything that I want to say about football. I just put it on streams. I just put it out here on a daily basis because I hate tweeting and I don't want to be I got to get off my tight end take just to be part. I really can't. I can't do that. I don't have that in me anymore. So my stance on tight ends is you can take a bunch of different configurations of tight ends and probably be happy with it. I think tight end is the flattest position ever. That said, you have more safety, as you do with any elite position or elite part of a position. Have more safety up top, have more spiky upside up top. That said, are there guys late that I think can break out at tight end and maybe give you, the Juwan Johnson 18 points you need. Like people forget, I guess, like apparently, like last year it was an elite tight end that won in week 17. It was Juwan Johnson getting 2 touchdowns that won in week 17. So I think ultimately, like, if the tight end stuff is always good, if you land a Laporta and he becomes elite, great. Bowers this year, if he becomes Laporta, great. If Ben Sinnott becomes Laporta, even better. But like ultimately, it's just about, to me, the configurations and how you put tight end 1 with tight end 2 together, and having guys at least have some shot at giving you, close to 20, 2 touchdowns in a game. I'd say for tight ends more than 20, but that's really how I would view it. But I really, I don't know. You guys might have loved it and been like, oh, this is awesome tight end discourse. And like, I love the people involved, like lots of funny and sharp people talking about it, giving good takes. But like, what? Like, how is that where we are? I'm just tired of, I think when you do this stuff as early as we do on Splash Play, starting in January with drafts and doing content and then keeping it going, it's like, I grow weary of the takes pretty fast in the cycle, especially when we get to like take season of May to August. Paul B's on vacation. Wanted to check in. Shout out, Paul. Hopefully somewhere nice for you. Hopefully somewhere you're getting some tasty drinks if that's what you enjoy doing. Some sun, some cold, whatever. I don't know. Whatever's going to make you happy. We got Romeo Dobbs, Tony Pollard. Tight end would be nice. I mean, we can keep making correlated bets without QBs, which I can live with. I'm going to take Dallas Goedert here. An A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert bet. I think we're live for much later QBs in general. Probably a late stack that we can add on top would be my guess. And the Jalen Hurts drafter was not in this range anyway, so tough for him. Thinking Bowers is weekly tight end 1 spike potential in the 100s. It depends. I mean, to be the tight end, like to be a tight end 1 or to be the tight end 1 every week, I think are 2 different questions. A tight end 1 every week, sure. Like you could be Sam Laporta last year, but the tight end 1 every week is a little bit different. So I'd say I think more if he can be one of the top 10 every week for sure, and reliably, and then with upside to be tight end 1 occasionally. Okay, so we have a 3-5-1 build here. We'll give it a read after we make this pick. I mean, I like Brian Robinson the most, and I guess that would make me feel pretty close to done at RB. Pollard, at this point, not a bad discount. I'm going to take Pollard. I'll just scoop that. So 4 running backs, Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, James Cook, Tony Pollard here at RB. A wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Tank Dell, Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, the tight end Dallas Goedert. So still think we have to make up a little bit more volume at receiver because I don't love a Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, 4-5 as my guys there. But I like the top 3 a lot. We got shares of offenses I think are going to be really good. One I would expect to be a contender level. And then RB room is probably one of the best RB rooms I've had ever. So I think that works. Got some good discounts or relative discounts at RB. Not mad at the team. Just think we have to continue to add more volume at receiver. That's how I feel about it. Go to the board. And guys, if you're watching live or after the fact, please do subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Appreciate your support on here. Again, new drafts every Monday to Saturday. Had to miss yesterday because of some meetings. But back now on the grind, Monday to Saturday, every day at 11 a.m. New drafts will be going live here on the channel. Monday to Friday, it's all BBMs. But Saturday, we kick our feet up. We do some drafters, relax a little bit more. Don't have to worry about playoff pods. 500K to first place. So a great tournament to be drafting on. And of course, draft for yourself on drafters. With draft with the promo code Splash. There we go. I accidentally dragged it instead of clicking it. So that's doing great. Flooded basement morning. Clean that up. Sweating under this stupid vinyl hat. Gotta go walk 3 miles. I've been doing 3-mile walks every day now, 3 straight weeks of doing it. Though I will say, bit embarrassing. I feel like I'm getting like a little bit like chafed on my thigh. Because it's too thick. My thighs rubbing together. It's too high-key thick. That's been the downside, I suppose, of all the walking. That was on the last video. We're not going to revisit it. We're moving on. Again, I really hope that he can take a hint and stop like being weird is really my one thing, but I don't want to. I'm not going to let it be a plot line. People want it to be an ongoing plot line, and I really just want it to be like that was the series finale of his part in things. So I really think he's like an awful person, to be honest. Don't like him very much. And he creeps me out like in a lot of different ways. Like you just shouldn't be that attached to my life in general for anybody out there. Unless you're my wife. But even then, she's not in all my best ball drafts. So I don't know. But we're done with it. We'll move on. New bits coming. Just gonna approach things bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Now that we're in the back half of June. Basically 2.5 months now until the best ball season comes to an end. So we're going to make it good for that home stretch. And hopefully little weirdos like Jeremy will go bye-bye. Body glide. Okay. Attaboy Spags, hot boy summer after all. Yeah, it's mostly just like I realized, I think people in the fantasy space talk about this, but like with football, I'm just like, I'm not moving as much as I should. And that's never something, I think you want to be at. All right, we have... I mean, I don't hate the idea of just grabbing Trevor Lawrence here. A little bit of a discount. Not much, but I see something that we can correlate with him. A little bit worried for myself at QB just because of the fact that, like, I don't want to take Drake May at this point in the year. I don't want to take JJ McCarthy at this point of the year. I think those guys have a chance to not play 17 weeks, and that is not where I want to be drafting in June. When we get to July and it's an open competition and maybe one of them's killing it, great. But Brissett was not great in minicamp, but I just think that they would prefer to have Drake May not win that job if they can do it. So we will see. That said, late QBs like Bo Nix would be okay. But we're talking Bryce Young. Like we're talking about a lot of guys that I don't know that will be available for me later in the draft. Is really the biggest thing in this room. So I'm going to lock down Trevor Lawrence so I just don't get totally scooped at the position. And I'm also going to get myself a very, very rare share of Gabe Davis because we need to correlate something with him, with Trevor Lawrence. I think there's one fun 20-round pick for Jacksonville coming up later. Guy who had a great camp in Parker Washington. We'll see if this room gives me him later on. But I think he might be making this for a fun, unique Trevor Lawrence double, even though obviously, having Christian Kirk, having Evan Ingram, having those guys, having Brian Thomas, who I also love, especially in the red zone, that's much more appealing. But we'll take Trevor Lawrence here with Gabe Davis. Gabe, I took you in. I said, come here, Gabe. I want to possess you. I want to be all over you. That's what I said. Then the Vikings head coach say Darnold might just play all year. They've said that it's going to be a competition for a lot of different positions, including QB in July. But they've also said that like Darnold is going to get the shot to win the job. So I don't know. But he didn't say he's going to be the starter all year. No, he might just play all year. Sure. But not that he's going to be. I think right now, though, that's the point to me is like you can't draft JJ in a 2QB build. You can't draft May in a 2QB build right now. And you shouldn't draft either of the Vegas QBs right now. Like those are the three that I would say I'm hands off on. I have some apprehension drafting Russ. I also just don't draft Fields because Russ is going to be the starter as long as he can stay upright. So those are the guys to me, like those teams I would say at this point of draft cycle are all stayaways for me. People I think feel very differently about Drake May in the industry. I think the Drake May bags might be one of the worst industry-wide bags going right now. Just in terms of that run out of him not playing, and then if he is playing, like he's really inaccurate, so he's going to have to overcome that. So those are things that I think are going to make it hard. He does stuff that we like for fantasy. He's theoretically going to run, that we did run less this past year, whether it be an offense changing or because of a contractual kind of thing. Just wanted to keep yourself safe heading into your big payday in the NFL. Both are acceptable things for Drake May, but one you kind of downgrade him a little bit more for. But if he's going to run enough, he's going to throw the ball downfield 5 more times a game, then he's live. But I just don't think I think he's being treated like I think he's being treated like I treat Jaden Daniels, and I think that's just wrong. Like even relative to the ADP difference, I think that's just wrong. Well, we'll see. I already did that one for you. I did that right before the stream, Ross. So that's why. That was actually top of mind for me. I did actually all the team reviews. And again, if you hit the join button down below, number one, you support the show for just $4.99 a month, which matters a lot for me right now. I have to really things have to go the right way because we're just not fucking finding the funding we need for probably right now. So it's a big kick in the dick. But ultimately, your support helps me put on the show every day. But you also get 10 team reviews a month from me or a portfolio/exposure review if you want to do that instead. Just one of those, I guess. But then you can also VIP Discord and my rankings, which will get updated tomorrow for Father's Day. So come and join on that ride, and hopefully there'll be more. And frankly, I might be doing a members-only stream on Monday instead of just getting my dick kicked in by Peach stream. I might try to turn that into something valuable for me, so we will see. Kind of think that Taysom Hill's a fun pick in this spot, and I'm going to have fun with that. Taysom Hill, to me, has had some of the best minicamp signal out there. It may be tough because he's not going to get QB snaps. So if that's the thing that appeals to you, but he's getting halfback snaps, getting slot receiver snaps, getting tight end snaps. I think it's better for him to have good fantasy production, especially as a tight end going, 150. If you get him at 170, sometimes in rooms, even better. But Taysom Hill, sites where he's not a QB, like Underdog, like FFPC, I think he's a good play. You get a reading of the names today? No, I'm gonna punt that one. I think it's not worth it on the Friday. But Gabe Davis, I've read your name, Gabe Davis. Ooh, Gabe Davis. So you get it. We'll push it. It's got to be on a Friday. If it's on a Friday, it doesn't feel right. Or if I don't do it on a Friday, then I'll do it on like the stream that people watch. Maybe I'll do it on Tuesday if you really need a reading of names. But I appreciate the fact that you care enough to ask. It's always great when people actually care about these very dumb esoteric bits that I bring to the table. So we have no Atlanta, unfortunately. My goodness. I mean, I'm enjoying the bit. I wouldn't say the bit, the structure. It's not a bit. I'm enjoying what I'm doing of having these little mini stacks without the QB. I am going to take Michael Wilson here. So Michael Wilson will be my wide receiver 7. Again, don't think Michael Wilson's the greatest player in the world. Neither do I feel that way about Gabe Davis. But I think for Michael Wilson, he can benefit from having other talented people around him, taking some pressure off. And he was like a 0.2 EPA per target guy last year. So for Wilson, he's better than I thought he would be coming out of not producing much at Stanford. So there we go. But we got the team so far. We've got a QB, Trevor Lawrence. So to suck him, he's a little bit of a discount, and I'm worried about getting completely boxed out at QB in a drafter's room. We got the best RB room I think I've probably had. I think we're done with 4, honestly. Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, James Cook, Tony Pollard. All these guys have roles. All of them have some good shot at goal line equity. A little more capital at RB than I'd like to spend, but that frees me up to spend more at wide receiver later on. At receiver, though, we got A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Tank Dell. Love the top 3. It's a little bit thinner after that because of Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis, and Michael Wilson. But a tight end, Dallas Goedert, Taysom Hill. Think a 3 tight end build for me there as well. But I'm happy with the team so far. It's not bad. Johnson guy Matthew here, one of our earliest signups, and I appreciate him for it. Show love and subscribe. People hit that like. Yes, indeed. Please do all of those things, especially if you enjoy the content, or if you're gonna brute force your way into my draft rooms. Both those things, I would say, your support is extra appreciated because of the fact that it just cuts my EV. I'm giving up EV. See Wilson doing a David Boston impression. Dude has guns. I mean, look, Wilson, I think has a lot going for him. Smart guy. Seems like a good teammate. Honestly, to me, Arizona, I think Washington's got good vibes. Oh, okay. This actually might be a video title. The good vibes rankings for teams. I think Arizona's got real good vibes right now. Their guys seem really happy to be playing together. Really excited to have Marvin Harrison Jr. Really excited to be bringing in Trey Benson, and we'll see what he does. But they seem like a good team. I would say Washington, too, another team that I thought the way they've been responding to Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin's reactions in particular. Number one, Jaden coming in early, being a tone setter for the locker room when guys who are fringe roster guys are like, I usually am the first one in, and Jaden is here before me. That's great to see, too. I think a lot of the camp buzz around that's been good. For teams that I'm less invested in, the Green Bay has had some nice camp buzz, so just how they're running as a team. A lot of where the closest we've ever been talk from them, which is a good thing because honestly, last year they kind of started the year, it felt like on different pages because the guy's not working out with Jordan Love in the offseason besides Romeo Dobbs. I think Jaden Reed did a little bit, but it was mostly Dobbs who's working with Love around the country, wherever they were. So I don't know. I think that to me, those are probably the 3 teams I think have the most positive, exciting kind of camp buzz. At the very least, positive vibes. If not, I don't think any of those teams, I would say, Super Bowl contenders. I feel like Cincinnati, the exact opposite. Bad buzz when you have 2 guys holding out, offense, defense, and you have one holding in. Maybe not the best scene for them. I think we got to start thinking about a second QB. Could also be thinking about a 3rd tight end. Juwan Johnson obviously coming down a lot now because of his injury. Big discount on Luke Musgrave. 19 pick discount on Musgrave. That's my tight end 3. Don't know. I mean, honestly, I think we needed a tight end 3. Goddard and Taysom Hill are not a 2 tight end build to me. Goddard in particular, I honestly don't want any Goddard 2 tight end builds unless he's the tight end 2. To me, Goddard is one of the more overvalued picks in a draft. But we have A.J. Brown making a correlated bet on Philadelphia. Not going to complain about that. Makes me worry those guys aren't getting their 8 hours of sleep. Yeah, they enjoy each other's company too much. They're staying up all night, doing spooky bedtime stories. Ookie cookie. They're all jerking off on the cookies. And last one to finish has to eat it. So that's a tough game to get involved in if you are going to get involved. Let's see what we get here. Another pick coming up in a little bit. I would like to, for lunch, because the wife and kid will be gone with the gym and whatever for a little bit, would like to get the new Chick-fil-A sandwich. They have some maple bacon pepper sandwich that apparently that YouTube guy, the review bra guy, really enjoyed. And now I'm curious. So that's, if you want to plan ahead to lunch, that's what I'm thinking. Fifth RB. It's been a nice camp for Pop Douglas, I suppose. But honestly, I think I need to start thinking about another QB. You know what? This is a weird one, but let's do it. Derek Carr. Oh, week 12 bye. Fucking, I am just the most fucking bye blind in general. Both bisexual people, I apologize during Pride Month, but also I'm like, bye weeks just get me every fucking time. Whenever I have a build, I'm like, oh, let's do something fun here. I inevitably step on my own dick by drafting Trevor Lawrence and Derek Carr, but I think we're going to be taking the third QB anyway, so it's fine. Let's give this team a read. Got Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr. Derek Carr stacked up with Taysom Hill, I think is kind of fun. I'm not sure how often people will do that because I think people will still go, oh, if Taysom Hill's playing, he's taking QB snaps. But they have not been using them that way at all. Like, it's been all him taking non-QB snaps with Clint Kubiak as the OC. So I like this idea a little bit more than one might think. Excuse me. Anyway, Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr at QB. Again, great RB room. Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, James Cook, and then Tony Pollard. Wide receiver, we have A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison Jr., Tank Dell, Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis, and Michael Wilson. And a tight end, we're done at tight end now with Dallas Goedert, Taysom Hill, and Luke Musgrave. I like the team. Eli Mitchell, 185 here. Eli Mitchell had a Bucky Irving, huh? I don't agree with that one. Bucky didn't win any jobs in minicamp or anything, but enough positive talk. Todd Bowles gave him a quote where he's like, let's see what he does in pads. I think he's going to acquit himself well in pads as well. Went from Okie Cookie to Chick-fil-A. I mean, look, you got to have different flavors. I'm not saying I'm going to have Okie Cookie, to be clear. I'm also not going to put any Okie on the maple pepper bacon sandwich if I get that. Or maple bacon pepper, whatever the fuck it is. Anyway, curious. Intellectually curious about sandwiches always. Oh my God, what is a washing machine doing right now? I have to say, I don't know how you guys feel about this. Maybe this will be relatable content. I hope it will. Owning a house is like the fucking worst, man. Like when I was cleaning up the water from that I was talking about that leak before the stream, I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. Like if I had an apartment, this wouldn't be an issue. And if it were, a super would have to come and do it, or like, you know, fucking clean up maintenance team kind of thing. Instead, I'm just here fucking doing it like I'm Cinderella on my knees, picking up water. The worst. Speaking of the worst, this spot on the board is awful. Let's just grab old Bowie Bobo Nix. Take our third QB because we don't want to have no points in week 12. Even though, as people have pointed out, previous drafter winner at one point didn't have Jalen Hurts for 2 weeks. It had no other QB that was available. So you can get away with it more on drafters if your team is just the nuts and you have tons of points accumulating over the 17 weeks that you get here with no playoff pods and no individual pods to make the playoffs. So that's a positive for sure. But, you know, for me, I'd rather have the points in week 12. I'll take Bo Nix's 10 points in week 12 if we're lucky. One more pick coming up here as I'm sweating in this room. Got to add some more at receiver, I think, at this point. Right now, I would say A.T. Perry looking like a not great bet. As I mentioned on stream the other day, Cedric Wilson, I think, looking like a better bet. My favorite bet of this group, though, I think is still Jalen Hyatt. So I'm going to take Jalen Hyatt here. Getting first team work right now with Darius Slayton getting up to speed / health. We'll see if he can hold on to it. Do think that there is a good shot they run with a team of Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt as the first team group. And then maybe you see Hyatt / Wan'Dale losing some snaps to Slayton coming in out wide. But I think that's what I'm hoping here when I take Jalen Hyatt late. And Hyatt, for what it's worth, on Underdog, it does seem like I think it's John Boy Beats who's doing a regular thing talking about people who don't get drafted enough in drafts in round 18, despite them having some amount of upside. I think it's Sims is maybe what he's doing. But like guys like Jalen Hyatt don't get drafted enough that if he does put up like a 20-point game or something, and I think that's in his bag. I think he had an 18-pointer last year. If he puts up 20 points in week 17 and you're taking him at 10% owned overall in BBM, probably much less when he gets to the playoffs, you're taking him, then he might be like a guy who legit wins you money. There are other RB plays like that too, other tight end plays, but Jalen Hyatt's one to me where I'm like, all right, I see the logic here. And I think if he's not getting drafted sometimes, I want to be there. Thank you, Thad. I'm comedic gold. I appreciate you, Thaddeus. Thank you. The caps lock, the laughing emojis. You're doing all I can ask here. Thaddeus is my guy. Thaddeus is my hype man, I think, which, hey, I'll take. That's all I've ever asked here. Hype me up and delude me into thinking I'm putting out good content. It's all. It's the dream we're looking for. All right, we'll see what we get on the way back. A few more picks coming up. See the board over here. Jatavian Sanders goes off the board. Pick 221. I think that's pretty nice in round 19. Sanders not the best camp in the world, but they are talking about him as a guy they want to have a role for. Evan Hull gets drafted here. I would take Trey Sermon over him. He's ahead of him in the depth chart, but I also think that Hull, to me, Hull is not that great of a player. And also he's coming off a really bad knee injury. So for him, that'd be my concern. They're going to add on A.T. Perry here. Still think Cedric Wilson is viable, but Perry being here, to me, if you're going to lose Michael Thomas, Perry is the more logical replacement. But Michael Thomas was just a slot guy by, especially his last few years. So really, Cedric Wilson playing on the slot, that might just be the Michael Thomas swap there. So that's the risk that we're running right now with taking A.T. Perry. I think in this kind of draft where it would be my wide receiver 10, I could make the case to take Cedric Wilson as well. So we're just cornering a market saying that Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed don't score a lot of touchdowns. And the running game with Kamara, that was one thing that was after the stream. Kamara leaving practice because he is unhappy with his contract because he need to redo it. Otherwise, he knows he's going to get cut next year with a $25 million cap hit. That was an interesting one there. So you could fade the run game with this team. Is basically my main point. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do Cedric Wilson. Think a fifth RB would also be palatable here. Does Denver have anybody else I'd want to grab? I could take a Josh Reynolds too. Yeah, Josh Reynolds does have a contract. We'll take a shot. Obviously, I'm much more in the bag for Marvin Mims, for Troy Franklin. But in this room, we got Bo Nix. We'll take our shot on Josh Reynolds. Probably a guy I won't take very often. 3-4-10-3 build here. We have Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, and Bo Nix. And I could have taken Parker Washington too. That's fine. Parker Washington, we don't need it. Kyron Williams, Joe Mixon, James Cook, Tony Pollard, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Tank Dell, Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Gabe Davis, Michael Wilson, Jalen Hyatt, A.T. Perry, and Josh Reynolds. So loved our top three, went away from the position a little bit, and then we came back with a bunch of volume here. And guys, honestly, I like the late part of the receiver room more than this Gabe Davis part. Really just the Gabe Davis part. So maybe if I didn't take Trevor Lawrence, wouldn't have had to take Gabe, and the team would have felt 10% better. Tight end, we got Dallas Goedert, Taysom Hill, Luke Musgrave. Pretty happy with that team. Honestly, pretty happy with that team. All right, guys, I will say for you all out there, great time to go draft on drafters. Again, it is fun to draft on here. You have some ability to be different, unique in your constructions, and have more justifiable logic in doing it. So the main recommendation for you, especially if you are playing a lot of BBM, chasing these mini schnauzers and whatever, your money's going to go pretty far in the drafters million. Number one, they're giving you a free entry at 10 entries. Number two, they're giving you up to 7 free entries if you put in a 100. So that's really a big thing on there. And of course, we're doing stuff like giveaways as well, which actually let me load the giveaway thing. Let's see. All right, let's make this one here. We're going to do a giveaway of a ticket to the drafters million, $15 in value. We're going to say this hashtag to close the loop on what we talked about earlier in the week. If you put in hashtag fuck Jeremy in the chat to bury him officially, We're going to collect comments, and we are going to give away a ticket here. Hashtag Fuck Jeremy will be your drafters giveaway. And this is how you're going to please my ego here by going against my enemies while also doing this. And I'll share the screen too for this. Here we go. Hashtag Fuck Jeremy, guys. Gonna give it away to Mossy if nobody else. If you guys don't want to go against Jeremy, it's fine. I'll give Mossy the ticket. Nope. That's not the hashtag. If you don't put in hashtag Fuck Jeremy, it's over, guys. There's only 2 entries. It's me and Mossy right now. One of us is gonna get the freebie. There you go. I know our guy Jason. Our guy Jason comes through. He does look like a bootlicker. That's true. Put in hashtag Fuck Jeremy, though. You got to put in the actual one. If you don't put this one verbatim, it's not going to count your entries. There we go. Please, just paste it in. Paste it in the chat. I'll give you a minute here. I'll drink this beer. Guys, paste it in. Free $15 ticket, guys. All you have to do is join me in my quest to be mean to people who stalk me in draft rooms. That's all I ask. If not, we got 5 entries in, and one of them is me. All right, there we go. There we go, G1 Kenobi. Now we got 6. This is going to be the easiest giveaway you've ever had. We put in for a raffle at our kids' year-end daycare party yesterday, and my wife got like put in 20 tickets in the free tuition bag because she thought that was like the best EV. I'm like debating expected value with my wife. So this one, I will say, good value of EV right now. 7 entries that aren't me. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to count it down on the screen right now. I'm going to drink this beer. When I stop drinking the beer is when I'm going to click draw. Oh, I think thick blue line. I think you spaced that incorrectly. Thick blue line or brown line. Sorry, brown line. Missed the name. All right. We're drawing. I want to give thick brown line a chance to do it without the space, but I can't do it for you, bud. Come on, thick brown line. Get it in. Get it in. Get the free entry in here. People just can't copy paste. I'm not tipsy-eyed from one beer, you dipshit. I haven't even finished it. It's got fucking half left in here. Stop projecting on me. All right, we're drawing. I can't wait anymore. Well, I win the free ticket. I accidentally always put in the hashtag myself. Mossy, what is your drafter's username? You have won a free ticket here. Thank God it wasn't me. I really thought it was going to stop on Splash Play. But Mossy is our big winner. So Mossy, let me know in the comments what your drafter's username is. And I will pass it along on Monday to make sure it doesn't get lost over the weekend. So there we go. Off the perks. I've never taken perks. What is this? I wish I had perks. Mossy94. Can you leave it in the comments, though, so I actually have it somewhere because I can't like write it down. But please, Mossy, collect your thing at the pay window. Leave me a comment with Mossy94 if you can. Again, guys, appreciate you being here on a Saturday morning. I know drafters drafts here. It's a longer draft. We're doing some different stuff. So back on the grind for BBM. I think going to be a members only stream on Monday. So I'm going to evaluate that one. But I think that's what the plan is. So if you want to see the BBM stream on Monday, hit the join button down below. We'll test it out. If nothing else, we'll give a freebie or a plus EV thing for the members who do pay money. Join, support the channel, $4.99 down below, but also support drafters. Again, play on there, the Drafters Million, really good pay structure, $500K to first place, get $15 entry fee, and you get all these free entries as well. If you put in up to 100 entries, you're talking 7 entries back, and 150 entries, you get yourself $100 back. So the best rake back in the biz in the Drafters Million. Check it out for yourself. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. We love, there we go. Now Mossy loves drafters. We all do. Happy Father's Day to all the dads as well. And I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you on Monday behind the paywall. Enjoy your weekends, guys. And good luck. Bye-bye.